Going on, guys? How we doing? How are we doing? Happy Sunday. Hope everyone's had a good weekend. As always, we'll just give a few minutes, 5 minutes here for people to join in. How we doing today? How's the week been? How's the weekend been? We've got Big Cypress, Dermot, Duma, Oakstonio, Sonny Babel, Tompa, Val. Going on, guys? Appreciate you guys coming on a Sunday. Good. Just clip the grass, so I think it counts. Yeah, I'd say so. Honestly, getting back into the swing of summer and feeling like it's summer again, cutting the grass, it sounds pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie. Feels good. Duma. Yeah, just I'll go over we'll do like a weekly review, and I'll just kind of give you guys what I'm looking at, as well as like a review of the last week. And then we can start doing like Q&A towards the end there. So I'll let you know when to start firing off questions there. Welcome to the group as well, though, Duma. Good to see you. Give a few more minutes here. Be right back, just one sec. How's your guys' trading been this week? It's a bit of a hectic one for sure. Market's not looking too bad right now, though. Not gonna lie, but it's Sunday, so hard to ever trust that. But we start closing the weekly around up here, and it's actually going to be looking good. Give another minute or two. Son, Gem Dog, HD, welcome. How you guys doing? All right, share my screen in a sec here. We will get to it. Going on, son. All right, a few more people coming in. All right, I'm gonna share my screen. Let's get after it, boys and girls. All right, screen share now. Let me know if you guys can see it. Let me know if you can hear me all good as well. Beautiful, beautiful. Just gonna open the chat on my phone here. All right, sweet. Yeah, so let's get after it. So recently, obviously, we broke all-time high. We went, I mean, lackluster break of all-time high. We went over all of this on the last stream, I believe. We had a lot of volume and a lot of people trying to push this, and I think we only broke like, yeah, not even 2% past all-time high. Like that's not really what you want to see, but it is also healthy for the market because this type of consolidation versus just a blow off top into like 115, 120k, and then a much bigger reversal is it's not ideally what we want to see. This type of consolidation is healthier for the market, as painful as it may be for altcoins specifically, because as you know, like alts have suffered a ton whenever BTC pulls back like this and Bitcoin dominance ramps up, which we'll go over. Just add that in there. It becomes difficult to trade alts, and everyone always wants to trade alts, so it is a bit painful. But this type of consolidation, especially just below all-time high after this reaction we got from the most recent move down, looks actually really healthy. This is what you want to see. People start selling and taking profit up here, lots of shorts pile in and stuff, but you can see that as we come and sweep out some lows, which on this entire move up we really haven't been doing that much, which has made it difficult. But we actually swept out a lot of lows, which you can see the demand for it so far, right? Like we had a really nice reaction, V reversal up. And if we start closing the weekly, take a look here. Like, it's a really good looking weekly candle. When this weekly candle was down here, things were really ugly, and start questioning, as always, when it comes into these crucial retests, like, are we going to end up going deeper into like 95, 98K? But the demand was nice. You can see that like a lot of people were clearly waiting to get positioned. And so it's exactly what you want to see. So it is just a typical normal pullback, but alts look like shit, right? Like alts look like so much worse compared to Bitcoin. Like Fartcoin we have here off the highs, this is down, like 48%. Like that's crazy. Like that's Bitcoin's down, I think 10% from the highs. And then you got alts just looking infinitely worse. And we'll go over like what's on the charts right here. Sol's down 25%. Yeah, so alts are down 3 to 4 times as much as Bitcoin. So like it makes trading alts difficult, but this is healthy for the market, because what happens too is when you see these like consolidations, but altcoins are going down much more than Bitcoin while Bitcoin dominance is going up, it simply means that like money is flowing from alts into Bitcoin. And to be honest, it's exactly what you want to see for these consolidations, right? Because eventually Bitcoin will continue to move up, or it'll continue to just range out in here. And when that happens, all of this money that's been flowing into Bitcoin over the past while with Bitcoin dominance just ramping up for, it's like the only chart. It's been crazy. That money eventually will flow into ETH and altcoins and stuff, but we are just kind of currently in phase 1 of the bull market, where Bitcoin takes all of the capital, all of the mind share, and does what it's going to do until that time comes. But for those of you that are new as well, these levels here that you see on my chart, outside of previous all-time high, these H4 resistances and daily supports and resistances, these are from the bot inside of our Discord here. So if you come in, you have this bot here. It's support and resistance on the majors, and in the click of a button, it's going to give you these levels. So just anyone who's new or hasn't been on the streams or doesn't have gold access yet, just want to show you guys these. So these aren't levels that I've drawn. These are levels derived directly from one of our bots. And if if you've been in here using these bots for a while, you understand how strong these are. So, but yeah, you can see Bitcoin, it's looking good here, right? We've had this downtrend since the all-time high break. This right here, was kind of your signal on the retest that weakness was present. We put in like a 4-hour bear div, wasn't in any extremity or anything on the RSI, but we failed to get back above. You can see all these H4 candles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, really failed to close above it. That was kind of your signal to go a bit risk off until we actually flipped that again, or we came down to, some key levels. And that's exactly what happened. So if you played shorts from this point on, you made a lot of money, especially if you were shorting altcoins. And then if you waited patiently for, some of these lows to get swept into these key support areas, you're sitting really nice right now. So that's Bitcoin. Let's take a look at ETH here. ETH has just kind of been in this range. So ETH, you can see here using the same levels or the same bot to get the levels. We've really struggled to flip this like 27, 24 area. And when we do, ETH is definitely going to fly. But, again, we came back down into support after once again failing to flip, sweeping out these highs. You can see here, we took the highs and we rejected. And from there, it's been just, just normal price action, right? Just a rotation down to range lows. I'm driving at the signal right now. Wood said something big is coming regarding bot a couple of months back. What is that? Yeah, so I think that's probably most likely the indicator that we've been developing. I mean, if you've been around or on any of the streams and stuff, you've definitely seen sneak peeks of it in the chats and everything. So we have an indicator coming for you guys that has a lot of use cases. But one of them that you've probably all seen is just the ability to, these levels that I'm showing you now from the bot, it's going to be an indicator that you can use on any time frame. I'll just show you, for instance, here. So whatever time frame you go on, so this is 4-hour, you can switch to daily. It'll give you daily, just like that, right? Like it'll chart these levels for you. And these levels are pulled from 3 years worth of data, but also updated and referenced against recent price action. So you guys will have access to all of these levels on any chart too. It doesn't matter if it's stocks or indexes, Bitcoin, ETH, altcoins. It will give you, all of the relevant levels on any time frame, and all you do is turn the indicator on and switch the time frame. So that's probably the big thing coming that he's been speaking about. And we're getting close. I know everyone's a bit impatient with that, but it's a big project, and yeah, it's getting close though, and it's definitely going to change the way that you guys look at charts, like 100%. So super excited to get that out for you guys. But yeah, ETH, I mean, it's just been a rotation, down to range lows, nothing crazy. This is exactly the reaction we wanted to see, whether we swept these lows and reclaimed or, had a nice reaction here. This is good so far, but across the board, we are coming into resistance on everything. So it is also Sunday. So, caution is warranted if you're trying to get into new longs or you feel like you've missed out, just let things play out. Either we're going to flip the resistances, and you can see on Bitcoin as well, big resistance here. Like even sweeping out this high into this resistance, this is not the place you want to get long. This is a place where you want to take some profits if you are long, wait for some retests or wait for a flip of this level, right? But getting long here is not recommended, especially on a Sunday. Just, be patient for the time being. Yeah, so that's Bitcoin and ETH. Does anyone have any questions or regards or comments on that? If so, just let me know in the chats here. If something doesn't make sense or you want me to go over something, just let me know. Also curious your guys' thoughts as well. Obviously, this is just my interpretation of the market. Everyone kind of views it differently, so. After this, I'll go into a few of the indexes as well and kind of how you could have looked to catch plays down here when we got the sweep. Are indicators like RSI and others useful for scale swing trades? Or yeah, absolutely. One of RSI is probably the main use case for a lot of our bots, to be honest. So we have bots that are going to show you when there is divergences across, a number of different time frames. So in real time, every 30 minutes, every 15 minutes, every 1 hour, every 4 hour, depending which bot you use. This is going to tell you which coins actually have bullish or bearish divergences in real time. So it saves you guys a ton of time on the charts because, at 9:30, so whatever, just about an hour ago, you could have literally just gone into your charts. You can chart out the ones that have bearish divergences or bullish divergences. You don't have to be like specifically looking through your charts all the time. And I have a ton of videos in the YouTube as well as the education section in the Discord on, how to actively trade these bots. So RSI divergences, this is this bot, but then we also have OBOS. So it stands for overbought, oversold. And again, this is an RSI derived bot. It's going to tell you where on the RSI, if it's oversold or overbought a coin is, meaning that when it's above the 70 mark on the RSI, it's overbought, so like up here. And when it's below the 30 mark on RSI, that means that it's oversold. And these are good areas when price action is there and the RSI is overbought or oversold to look for potential reversals, because it means that the move is quite extended on whichever time frame you're using. So we have a lot of bots that use RSI in terms of giving you signals and alerts to look for trades, and they're extremely effective. And like I said, I have a ton of content on them for you guys. So yeah, so I mean, that's kind of the overview of Bitcoin and Ethereum. If you've been shorting this past while, like I said, on this failure to break previous all-time high and waiting for lower levels, you've done absolutely great. If you've been trying to long alts this whole move down, you've probably had a fucking terrible time. And that's why it's important to use the levels from our bots to understand kind of where we are in the market, as well as basic things like market structure and stuff like that. But if we go and look at, so now let's take a look at how you could have timed pretty much any coins in the market with this retest here. So this is, it's a do or die level where when we came into here, we really did need to hold. If we didn't hold this, we were going to get a much deeper sweep. And you can see we swept out on the 4 hour these lows and we SFP'd, meaning we like closed the candle body above with the wick taking them out, which is great. Now, you could have timed almost anything in the market with this. This was a massive support level, and we needed to hold this. And using our bots, we have a number of different alerts that you could have used on the higher time frames to understand that, like, a lot of coins are looking good right now. If you are using your indexes. So we had, this is, total 2 on the 4 hour RSI bot gave you a bullish divergence. So total 2 is a chart that represents Ethereum and all altcoins in one chart. So this is going to show you just like, it's just one chart that has all of that compiled into one. And then you also have total, not total 2, total. And this is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and altcoins. So this is the overall crypto market all compiled into one. And on this as well, you also had a 4 hour bullish divergence. So you have immediately on a higher time frame perspective, Bitcoin coming into support, sweeping out some very critical liquidity here, closing above. Like, I'll get rid of this. So we closed above, and if you had the bot levels from support resistance, you can see that we came into it and it acted exactly as support. We swept above, we closed above after sweeping the lows here. At the same time, like I said, you had those bullish divergences on the 4 hour on total and total 2. So just looking, and that also, like I said, ETH came back into range lows. So just taking a 30,000 foot view of the market when all of this happened, you could have understood that this is a crucial level for a price to hold across the board. We have, an SFP on the 4 hour on Bitcoin. We have 4 hour bullish divergences forming on the indexes. So you could have understood that, like, okay, first of all, this is not the place to get short. This is where I should be looking for longs. This is where I should be using the bots inside the Discord to help me identify which coins could be good for potential longs, right? And so we had a ton of different, there's so many. I'm just going to show you guys some, but So Farcoin was obviously a very good long here, and in Gold Chat we talked about this one a lot. So what you had here, in line with total 2, giving you that 4-hour bullish divergence. You also had it on Farcoin here. So you can see here, if you don't know what divergences are, we have education and stuff on it, but that's for another topic. So we had, we had the 4-hour bullish divergence on Farcoin, which was alerted to you guys in the bot right here at the same time. So I'll show you the alert actually so you guys can see. So this alert came in when Bitcoin, ETH were at support and the indexes were making that 4-hour divergence. So this alert here, this alert, was a huge indicator to you, if you were paying attention, that a potential reversal is in play. You have the 4 indexes, total 2, total 3, and USDT, giving you the exact divergences you want to see for a potential reversal. You have bullish divergences on the total 2, total 3, and a bearish divergence on USDT. Alongside that, you had bullish 4-hour divergences on a ton of coins, and a lot of the high cap coins, BNB, Sol, Doge, XLM, Pepe, Near, ENA, R, Bonk, like a lot of the big cap coins. So you have the whole market making a 4-hour bullish divergence for the most part, right? And so you could have seen that one alert and understood that, like, okay, I should be looking for some longs here as we're coming into very crucial support we need to hold. So, this was Farcoin. You had the 4-hour bullish divergence, and at the same time, our OBOS 4-hour bot gave you the alert that it's also oversold, right? Your RSI is in the crucial oversold level where you could expect a reversal. And just for example's sake, your 4-hour RSI at this point was in the overbought territory. So you can see how you can use the RSI, right? Overbought here, you would have had alerts as well when this happened from our bot saying that it's overbought on the 4-hour RSI, and it's the place to look for shorts. You're not looking for longs here. Okay, well, what happens if you got short? You caught that 50% move down, if you held the whole thing, whatever, into now you have a higher time frame reversal, right? You could have swing shorted that. Well, now you could probably be swing long in this, right? You got your 4-hour bullish divergence into demand, swept out key liquidity. Your RSI has now gone from overbought here into oversold here, right? And I mean, it's already put in a massive move. It's like already up 20% and looking extremely healthy here if we are to flip around this level. So you can use these higher time frames. It's good to scalp the lower time frames, but it is also very important to understand and be able to trade the higher time frames. Doesn't mean you have to, but it is good to understand them if you're not going to trade them, right? Like I'll keep going over it. Bitcoin and ETH came into critical support. We had to hold. You had your indexes, which are kind of like charts of the entire market, giving you 4-hour bullish divergences, telling you, okay, the market is looking to reverse here at a very crucial point to hold. And so you could have looked to get into some positions, whether you executed these on lower time frames, looked for reversals after price had put it in instead of catching lows, whatever it may be. And yeah, so we can go over a few more here. So on that same alert you had Sol putting in a 4-hour bullish divergence as well. You can see that this one played out, even if you took it from candle close. Sol is up about 6.5% from the lows. Doge, exact same thing, right? You have your 4-hour bullish divergence. Doge popped for 10% since that. You have Pepe, exact same thing. 4-hour bullish divergence. This one popped for 11%. You can see the divergence here. So your price makes a lower low, but your RSI does not make a lower low. That's the divergence, right? It's diverging. It's showing you that like momentum is shifting. So even though price is going lower, the actual momentum is not. So you have a divergence indicating to you that a potential reversal is in play. Same thing with Near. And you can go through any and just about all charts and you will see something similar. So Near, up about 10% from that 4-hour bullish divergence. So like I said, you could have used your indexes, the majors, the levels from the support resistance bot to just, whether you're in positions or not, just kind of take a step back and analyze things and say, okay, this is a point we need to hold. We have divergences across the market. I could look to enter positions here. So Kratsky, no, I mean, I personally use 4-hour to understand an overview of the chart, to get like a kind of a bias on where things are and the areas I want to get involved in. But I execute personally on 15 and 30 minute and 5-minute. So I use 15 and 30 minute divergences. So if we go to like, so for me on Fartcoin, using the 4-hour time frame and knowing that Bitcoin and Ethereum are coming into support, indexes are giving you the divergences, I'm not executing this personally on a 4-hour time frame. You know, this is how I would execute it. I'd be on the 30-minute time frame. And for me, you know, you have your divergence here, depending if you draw them from candle body or wick, whatever. Right, you have your 30-minute divergence here. So I wouldn't have been executing on the 4-hour, I'd be executing this on the 30-minute. And this is the divergence that I would have been playing. Gives me tighter invalidation, right? If this 30-minute divergence breaks, you know, I'm going to be out of the trade. We've lost the key level. Whereas like 4-hour, you know, you could be holding that for 8 hours, 12 hours without it necessarily breaking and going much further down. And it's more of a swing trade. I'm not so much of a swing trader. I'm more of a day trader, scalp trader. So this is how I would have executed it. And you'd have a 30-minute divergence alert inside of the bot, inside of the Discord from the bots. You'd also have a 30-minute OB, probably 15-minute, 1 hour, all of that. So you'd have like so many triggers, right? 1 hour, 30-minute, 15-minute would all be oversold here. You probably have divs on the 15, 30. Yeah, so you have divs on the 15, the 30-minute, all that. So I would have been executing on lower time frames. Yeah, and I got tons of educational videos on how to use the RSIs, how to read them. Definitely check out the YouTube and the bot education section. And just ask any questions too in Gold Chat. Majority of the people inside of here use divergences with the bots. Yeah, so that's kind of an overview of, you know, what happened in the market and how you could have executed this most recent move. So now, if you guys have any questions on what we just reviewed, any questions on the bots, any questions on divergences or anything, just let me know. So Duma, if you have more questions or anything, like, just let me know, guys. If you guys have a different take on the market, a different view, if you guys agree, like, let me know how trading's been for you this week, yada, yada. Yep, so Fibonacci's are helpful. I mean, I trade with Fibonacci's as well. If anyone's in Wealth Group, like, my main method of trading was taught to me by Pocky, who uses RSI, divergences, and POCs. You can use any level as replacement for POC, like any support resistance level, yada, yada. But yeah, Fibonacci's are great. I like to use those a lot. Support resistance 255. Yeah. Yeah, they're great. And like, they won't always hold, just like any, you know, just like any indicator or any method of reading price action. It's not always going to be bulletproof. So But fib levels are really good. They're great for, identifying reversal levels, but they're not always going to hold. So, eventually, like for instance, if we just go like this, if you were to pull the fibs from the top to the bottom here, um, this is your reversal golden pocket here. Doesn't mean it's always going to hold though, right? Like, I mean, your 0.5 fib here didn't hold, and like the 5 fib I don't really ever use. I use the 618, 69, 786, and 886 as like the golden pocket. And you can see this when pulled from the high, or sorry, the low to the high to find your potential reversal zone. This was where it was here. And, doesn't mean it's always going to hold, right? But like statistically, this zone makes sense mathematically as reversal zone, just the way fibs work. But just like anything, right, it doesn't always mean that it's going to work. But this will give you good levels to use if you do use fibs for sure. We don't have any bots or anything that use fibs, but you can use fibs in your own analysis and tie them in with the RSI divergence bots, the overbought, oversold, Monday high, Monday low sweeps, all of the different bots. So you can definitely confluence them in your own way. Like I think ETH was the perfect example of like a nice reversal if you were to use the fibs again. If you were to pull it from the high or the low to the high, absolutely perfect. Even when it came down into here, you could see it held these levels, filled the entire golden pocket. But right now, like I said, we are at crucial levels. So, you want to see ETH get some consolidation above here. We're going to move up. But, this is a level where you could expect a reversal. And then going into next week, if we do reverse here, we want to see ideally some sort of higher low. You put in, don't really want to revisit the lows. I mean, ETH looks better if it does visit the lows, and if you do get some sort of, I don't know, Russia-Ukraine war starts getting more intense, or Elon and Trump start beefing on Twitter again, right? It's like if you get something like this on ETH and you get a reclaim of this after sweeping these lows out, that's a huge long right there. Like if you get that, that's money. This point right here could essentially be like this, where and then we came up, took out the highs, came back inside the range. This could be similar here if you get something where we reject this mid-range, sweep out these lows and reclaim. Could be reminiscent of what this was at the highs, but at the lows, and we run it back and hopefully break out. Bitcoin, I don't really want to see it revisit those lows. I would prefer for us to, if we come back, bounce from some of these levels, as opposed to going and taking these lows out. We took all the lows out, the important lows that I want to see this hold now. Weekly close is shaping up to be really good. I mean, we still got, 6.5 hours till that happens. So anything could happen in that point of time, especially considering that it's Sunday. I never really tend to trust Sunday pumps, especially, like I said, as we're coming into resistance here. You have this high, and, you can see this level. It even rejected here when we tested. So, we're coming right into resistance where I'm not expecting price to flip this, especially on a Sunday. If we do, and we start consolidating above, looks great. We get a weekly close back into like 107, 108. I'm assuming we go for all-time highs next week. I still think that's possible, but I do think we get some sort of higher low first and foremost. Where that is, not too sure, but it's kind of what I'm looking at. But chasing longs up here just does not make sense whatsoever. And trading on weekends lately has just been garbage. It's been terrible, so not recommended. Look at the indexes, again, in terms of talking about it coming into resistance, right? We have a huge level of resistance here. So, price most likely does not flip this. And maybe we do something like this. First, put in that cheeky higher low. But at the same time, if we do get a nice move up and, we do end up flipping this, it looks really good. It looks great because then essentially we're kind of coming back into this range here. After deviating it, came down, tried to get back into the range. I'll show you the range and delete this. So you can view this as like a range, really. So this range here, range highs, range lows, range highs, break down, try to reclaim it, fail. Now we're testing bearishly, retesting range lows here unless we can reclaim it. Whether that happens, I don't know. But we do have resistance here. So just a place to be cautious, right? Place to be cautious. Total index looks a little bit better. Rejected resistance here, held the trend line, trying to push above. So like things look good, but it is Sunday. It's not the place to chase. Wait for either of these levels to flip or for us to get a higher low before we really do anything. Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance is it's always just trending higher. This chart makes it very hard for alts to really do much until this, really breaks down. It's just slowly grinding back up into this high that it put in start of May. Just makes it difficult, right? When you get price action like this lag here, this is where alts were going 20, 30, 50, 200%. It was the first real pullback we had on Bitcoin dominance for like a while. And now kind of the way that this was happening, it's kind of like what we're doing again here, right? It's like you get spurts where alts do good, where they do bad, yada, yada. But, it's looking like this thing wants to continue higher, which, like I said at the very start, Bitcoin dominance is slowly grinding and trending up in line with Bitcoin holding this support and consolidating here. Overall, it's good. It means, it sucks for trading alts. I get it. I love trading alts more than I like trading Bitcoin and ETH too. But for the overall market dynamics, it's healthy. Bitcoin is taking market share. It's building liquidity within here to push higher. We just took all of this and we had a really nice reaction. And you can see that with Bitcoin dominance trending up, money is still focusing on Bitcoin, which is healthy because we do want to start pushing higher past this new all-time high, which, like I said, was lackluster. And I don't think that this indicates the top. It could have if we lost this level and things were looking a lot shittier than they are now. But, we've had good reaction, looking for a good weekly close. And so we want to see this consolidation end up breaking higher because bears so far were not able to break it down. They weren't able to break the crucial level where if this was flipped and we had not gotten this reaction, we'd come back up and, we tried to get back here, continue down. Things would look a lot different than they are now. Alts would be completely fucked at this point. But that's not the case, and we've had a nice reaction, so we'll see how things close. But yeah, that's all I kind of got on reviewing last week, Bitcoin ETH, some indexes, how you could have played this most recent lag. So if you guys have any more questions, just let me know. Otherwise, we'll look to wrap it up soon. Can be questions on trading, psychology, Woodsbot, just anything. Just let me know. No such thing as a stupid question either. This is how you learn. When I first joined WG, all I did was ask questions. All I did. What are the numbers for stop loss and TP, sir? What do you mean, stop loss? No, I mean, stop loss if you're trading on leverage is like usually max 5%. I don't typically do much more of a stop loss than that, maybe 6, 7%, just depending on the trade. And then TPs are relative to the chart, the trader. A 2 to 3% move is typically good to take your TP1 and move stops break even, especially if you're new. Just kind of get used to doing that. Around 2, 3%, consider it a win. Pay yourself, move your stops break even. But stop loss for leverage is typically, for me, not more than 5%. On spot, yeah, 10, 15% stop loss placement is realistic. Okay, let's see here. Can you please have your 2 cents on the link? Let's take a look. I mean, link flipping this level is good. So this is just, my box extends it out because I like to see that. But this, little green, or yeah, it would have been green, but it's white on mine, is your supply, right? It's the supply zone. So it's like the last candle before you got this impulsive move down. So if Link can manage to flip this, it looks really good, right? It even had this wick down into testing the 4-hour demand here. If you just right off the bat, if Link can flip this, it should at least try for these highs here, where it'll have the next level to either flip or reject from. If we are to fail to flip this, I would expect a retest down into here, where again, just look for reaction, whether we're going to hold this 4-hour demand block, this previous low here, or not. So those are kind of the levels, use this 4-hour supply block. If we can manage to flip this, which it looks good, right? Came in, tested 4-hour demand, nice reaction, trying now, but everything's at resistance. So just be cautious of that. If we cannot flip it, I would expect a retest down into this 4-hour demand block here and this previous, low sweep here to see if we hold that. And if we do hold that, say we come back down in here, right? You kind of have an inverse head and shoulders. So bounce out of here could look really good. Flip this also looks pretty solid. Buying from 14 to 11, stop loss at 10. 14 to 11. Yeah, I mean, if you do sweep lower and you're building a swing long, if you come into here, for sure, I think it looks good. Take a look at the higher time frames. If you're looking to swing long it, if you do manage to come into here, stop loss at 10. Yeah, no, it's a nice trade for sure. If the market decides to roll over again, and for whatever reason, you get this, and you get a daily divergence, that looks great with your stop loss below here on higher time frames, definitely. Random question. When I pull fibs and I look for the 7.5 pocket, say it goes right through that area, what do you look for a bounce then? A fib's kind of worthless after that 7.5. No, so the thing is everyone uses fibs differently. Everyone has different levels. I don't even look at 7.5 personally. It's just personal preference. Nothing wrong with 7.5. I know a lot of people use it. I just have never used the 7.5. But it doesn't mean that it's worthless at that point. No. I'm trying to think of a good example here. I use 786, 886, 69, 61. But for instance, let's just say you've got a resistance here and I'm looking to short, and it's price is pushed up through, say, your 7.5 area, but you come up and you put in a div here, like that's completely fine to me. Like the doesn't matter if the 7.5 didn't work. Like I still have personally, you know, this area here where like this is your 7.5. It's a little higher, but like if this is still flipped, it's still fine to me. Like if we put in a div or we even like get like a wick up, but close back inside after taking this liquidity, like the trade's still completely fine to me. So everyone uses fibs differently. The 7.5 could depends the time frame too, right? Because like 30 minutes could start closing above it, but like I said, if you get like a 4-hour move up on like this higher time frame, but you close below it, the 7.5, then it's still good. So it's kind of all just dependent on the trader, what they look at, the time frame, ton of different things. But just because it flips that doesn't mean, but it might mean for you, right? If you, and that's where back testing comes in. It's like I don't use the 7.5 personally. If you do and you've back tested 100 to 200 trades, whether you take them or not, just go into the charts and you see that statistically when it does flip the 7.5, then your trade's invalid. Then yeah, 100%, right? You have the data to back your strategy saying that you know when the 7.5 is flipped that it's no longer going to be a profitable trade for you. Or maybe it is, but like that's why you got to go and back test it. Like I've back tested my strategy for, a long ass time. So I know kind of how things play out for me specifically, but I definitely trade probably different than you considering I don't use 7.5. So definitely comes down to like back testing for sure. Sunny, well, I'm in a long. Can I hold it, please? I mean, it depends where you longed, what you longed, if you're in profits or not. Like the market's coming into resistance here. It does look good though. Like it looks great. I would just make sure that as we're coming into resistance, maybe just make the trade risk free and move your stops to break even, depending what you're in and where you're at, obviously. And kind of it depends also what you had laid out for the trade plan to begin with. But if you're in profits and it's up 3, 4, 5, 6%, I would take some profits and move your stops break even, just considering it's Sunday and we're coming into resistance. How do you manage to overcome the emotions? I made a lot and lost a lot. Now I have this emotional reaction that blocks me to act. Yeah, so I mean, it's a super honest um, thing to speak about. Is like this game is difficult and emotions will fuck you over more than anything. Price action, technical analysis, that stuff's easy. When you have your money on the line, and you have P&L moving against you or moving for you, emotions kick in, especially if you're new to trading. Every trader goes through it. It's inevitable. And it's just about finding personal ways for you to overcome that. The number one way that I can suggest for people to do is to just size way down. Your emotions only come into play because of, the amount of risk you have. And I'm talking like if you are having struggles with emotions or getting back into feeling like you are confident in taking your setups and stuff, I'm talking like size down to like 0.5% risk per trade, because it does not matter if you make profits currently. You need to get your confidence back. You need to understand that your system works. You need to like get that back before you can even think of sizing up. So if you're still risking like 3 to 5% per trade, you're just screwing yourself over. If you've lost a bunch of trades and a bunch of your port, it's like that you're risking way too much and you're clearly not performing how you should. Like you need to have the discipline to size down to like, I'm talking 0.5% risk per play. That's going to let you play it out unemotionally. Even if you go underwater, it's okay because it's a small amount. You can let the trade run fully and you can see that the trade actually plays out even though you were underwater. You don't have to like close it out because you're afraid of it hitting stops or whatever. But so that's the number one thing I can suggest is just to size way down. You need to size down until you get your system back in control and your confidence back up. Yeah, no problem, Bobby. No problem at all. And the other thing too is like just journal. Just be super raw and honest with yourself, whether on paper or your own little Discord channel. Journal what you're feeling in your trades. Trading is a personal journey. Every person, the way that you feel fear, the size that you feel fear at, the size that you feel greed at versus me versus anyone else in this chat or the Discord is going to be different and personal. The things that trigger you, like trading is a very personal journey. And people don't talk about it enough, but like price action and understanding that is easy. Anyone can do that. But when you have your own money on the line, when you're putting your own fear, greed, revenge trading, all of these emotions into play, like you really start to learn and understand who you are as a person in trading. And it's important to journal these things because you need to understand, like, okay, what is my main emotion that's screwing me up? Is it fear? Is it greed? Is it revenge trading? Is it FOMO? And then you need to like reverse engineer where that comes from in your life. Are you risking too much? Is this money mean too much to you? Is this like do or die for you because you don't have other income and another job? So like you are fearful that you're going to lose it and stuff, which makes you operate differently. Or are you just holding trades way too long and not taking profits and your greed is kicking in? And it's like you need to just like kind of reverse engineer where these emotions come from. But the number one thing that I can suggest for any emotional volatility in your trading is to just size down. It is the number one way to remove emotions and just get back to mechanically acting on the charts. And the other thing that I can suggest is if you take a trade, don't watch your P&L on Bybit, BitGet, whatever. Watch the chart. Have predefined take profits, have your stop loss, and don't watch the green and red number. It does not matter. Manage your risk. Understand if you lose the trade, you're only risking 1% to 2% of your portfolio. Accept that when you enter the trade and watch the chart. Don't watch your P&L because your P&L, like first of all, exchanges are designed to take your money. They just are. A leverage slider up to 100 and watching your green and red P&L fluctuate so much and whatnot. It's designed to take your money. Like it's how exchanges make money. There's a reason only 1% of people ever become really successful traders. It's like this game is designed to destroy you. The fundamental truth of markets is you are competing against other people who are trying to take your money. That's just the way it is. You have to operate with an edge and you have to operate without emotions. And it's a journey to get to that point. And everyone goes through it. That's why it takes, 2-3 years and a lot of losses and a lot of headache and heartache trying to figure this shit out. But it is also like one of the most profitable things you can ever do in your life is, figure out trading. So you need to journal these things. It's a journey. You need to understand what your emotional triggers are, what makes you tilted and want to revenge trade, what makes you afraid and lose confidence, what makes you overconfident and greedy and start risking more and lose it that way. So, journal these things, be honest with yourself, just write down not only what happens technically in a trade, but how you feel. Did you risk too much and now you're only up 2% on the trade, but you're like fearful that you're going to lose that amount because you over risked. So you end up closing the trade and it plays out for 10%. Well, there's your screw up, right? It's like you're over risking. Same goes for the downside. Did you over risk and now it's down 1%? Your stop loss is like 3%, but you just closed the trade out because you're like, oh, well, what if it hits stop loss? And then the trade ends up going profit 5-10%. So you just need to understand yourself, right? It's a very personal journey. So I suggest sizing down and I suggest journaling in depth, kind of what you're feeling emotionally on each trade. Yeah, no problem, guys. Happy to help as always. CRV, yeah, we'll take a look at that. Woods was the one who mentored me when I first started trading in WG. And, he taught me all of these things and turned me into the trader that I am today. And so, I enjoy giving, back the lessons that I've learned through trading because it's like the hardest thing in the world. And it's lonely. And like, that's one of the benefits of also having something like Woodsbot, a community. It's like, this is a no bullshit community and no negativity community. Everyone here wants to see everyone win. And so, you guys have something special here with Woodsbot. It's something you should not take for granted, something you should lean into. Everyone wants to help everyone win. Everyone in the chats is like sharing plays, analysis, wins, losses, emotions, even life stuff, right? Life shit can get in the way of trading. And it's like, it's just a very real place with real people. So let's see. CRV, what would I be looking at here? So we had the bullish divergence, just like everything else at that time. For now, CRV has swept this high. And you can see that it's rejecting currently. Go lower time frame here. Yeah, so CRV is rejecting right now. And I mean, if we do reject here, I would expect maybe like a higher low within somewhere like this, potentially. Like this here. And you can see something that's super helpful to do is like have your boxes like mine go across the whole thing so that you can just kind of see where previous price action is, because you can see that this is a very crucial level, right? Like you have rejections, you have price holding, right? You have a sweep below and a reclaim, right? So you want to see something like this hold. You don't want to see us lose this, or like we're taking these lows out down here for sure. So, either we flip this high we just swept and we can probably continue higher up into here, or we get a retest down in here, which is where you would want to see it hold. Appreciate you, Sonny. Duma. How you doing, Roxy? Yeah, it'll be recorded. Does the candle closing dictionary, like the one on Google, works? Or yeah, candle closes are definitely important. Definitely important. So there's so many ways to read candles and different candle formations and stuff. I'm not going to go into that here today, but I suggest just going on to if you're looking to learn about if you're looking to learn about candle, like reading candlesticks, there's a ton of different ways to do that. Like you said, doji, like hammers, SFPs, all of that. Just Google that and YouTube that. That'll give you a ton of information on that. You'll find everything you need to learn there. Look at ENA. Best place to bid spot. So, I mean, if you're not in spot currently, same as everything else that played out off the lows, right? Maybe 4-hour divergence. Looks really good. This isn't the greatest structure here with market at resistance. Like, you could sweep these lows again, although, like, I don't know, what percent is this here? Like 10%. So, I mean, you probably don't unless ETH and Bitcoin sweep the lows, but like you could end up putting in, right, like a higher low. If we do, first of all, if we do end up sweeping the lows, and if we take these lows out, like if we take these lows out and we sweep, like that's a good place to bid spot. I mean, watch for reaction first, but like, we have like crucial levels here that if we were to take these out, and you start like closing back above, you have like a very clear invalidation and pretty tight invalidation to get long on the spot, like 100%. Even if we sweep this low and you still hold like another 4-hour div, like barring something happening in the market with like, Russia and Ukraine, or like the same Trump and whatever bullshit where like, you end up sweeping these lows. for whatever reason, but you put in another div with this because like market's just selling off news. It's not really like selling off, and you put in, oops, right? You put in another div here. That's a good spot to get long as well, and validation under here if you have a nice reaction, or if you just put in some sort of higher low next week along with the market, you know, come down into here, and Bitcoin and ETH are also putting in a higher low, and you kind of like come into this little support here. That could be a good spot to bid as well, with stops kind of under these lows, your most recent 4-hour divergence. But I wouldn't chase the spot up here just with the entire market being at resistance. So this is like, you know, market sweeps hard again, Bitcoin goes into like 98K. If we were to sweep just this low, you know, it could just be off news of, you know, some bullshit happening where you could put in another 3 drive of bullish divergence for whatever reason. It happens, good spot to get long there, or just wait for a higher low. So some sort of like 30-minute divergence around here kind of thing, indicating that price might bounce, break out of this little whatever consolidation we're having here, in line with, you know, Bitcoin coming down and like, you know, testing a support and bouncing. Something like that could be good as well. Bit of weird P&A here though on E&A, I'm not gonna lie. We even had a Coinbase listing and it didn't do that much really. But ETH starts catching a bid, E&A will too. So I think like, you know, any of those scenarios you could get long on spot with different validations. Low team, yo, Dill, set us up for the upcoming indicator love too. Yo, what's up, ETH? Yeah, we went over, you know, everything's kind of at resistance here. We close anywhere up here though on the weekly, like it looks really, really good, which is nice. But I wouldn't be looking to chase any longs here. Across the board, you know, we have Bitcoin here, we have ETH coming into midline resistance here. So I think for next week, I think just being patient right now, potentially trying some scalp shorts is possible, because, you know, structure-wise, like we could do something like this if anything shitty fucking happens in the market. I don't think we will, just based off the reaction off the lows we've had. But, you know, there's so much going on in the macro landscape that you never know. So it is a good place to potentially hedge some shorts, at least take profits from anything that you've been long on. Like, don't have to close fully, but take some profits. But I think next week, you know, across the board for ETH is a little more difficult. Like we could sweep these on ETH and that would still look totally fine. Or we could put in a higher low on ETH. But I think the same thing happens on Bitcoin. I don't think we sweep these lows, nor do I want to see us sweep these lows. But I think we can retest, you know, some levels like this, put in a higher low from here, and then run it back. Like I don't want to retest these lows whatsoever. I want us to hold nice 4-hour SFP, swept all the liquidity, start losing this. We're nuking much lower than this. It looks good. Weekly close coming up anywhere up around here, you know, is looking actually really nice. So ideally we close up around here and then retest into some of this wick on the candle kind of thing, put in a higher low at one of our supports. Or, you know, we just literally consolidate and flip this level where we're coming into resistance. And same with ETH, you know, maybe we just consolidate, flip this level, and end up going higher. But not the place to be entering into fresh longs here. Place to either look for some potential hedge shorts going into the week, expecting an early week sell-off, or potentially news escalating in whichever way. You know, the Russia-Ukraine war is actually kind of getting a bit crazy with Russia hitting back. You got all this shit happening in LA, and you know, you got Trump and Elon. Trump's now saying that they're not ever going to be close again. You never know where this stuff's going to escalate to. So it's not the worst idea to kind of look for some potential hedge shorts here into resistance. And it's the same here for, we got total. So again, this is that big level. Right, like this is like a bearish retest here where we want to see this flipped, but does it flip right away? I don't trust anything on a Sunday. So it's like maybe we come in here type deal where you can look to get long across the board on a higher low before we push back up. But, we are reclaiming the 4-hour RSI on everything. That doesn't mean we can't pull back a bit, but things do look good. But it is still, this is still 100% a downtrend here. And this is exactly the area you would expect some sort of reversal from if we're going to get it, right? This is where you look for shorts based on structure. 100%. Doesn't matter if it were breaking out of this, it doesn't matter if it looks good and it's reclaiming this. This is structurally where you look for shorts. Bitcoin as well, it can sweep this. If we close above this and we start consolidating, we are shifting structure, but we're not so far. It hasn't happened yet. ETH as well, ETH much weaker. It's like higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, or sorry, higher high, lower low from here. No, so we didn't actually sweep that. But anyways, we're trending down currently. So place to be cautious. I would not open longs here, potentially look to hedge short and look to get long on an early week pullback if we get it. I think that's the move. Noted boss inclined towards the short side. Yeah, hedging some longs. Yeah, exactly. It's Sunday too, so it doesn't matter if the market looks good. Nice for a good weekly close. Don't get me wrong, absolutely love that, but just Sunday. Noted, thanks. Bid the low, but sold yesterday. 5.3 bid. Yeah, love it. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate everyone coming on a Sunday. Appreciate all the questions you guys are firing off. I enjoy doing these to help you guys in your trading journey, help you with Woodsbot, all of that. So yeah, I appreciate you guys coming on, asking questions, hanging out on a Sunday. Big week coming up. Finally got a move down, which we've been wanting for a long time. This move was going to happen regardless. It was just accelerated by all the news last week. So we got a nice reaction off the lows, which is exactly what we want to see. So, hopefully we put in some sort of higher low this week or just flip these resistances and keep pushing towards all-time high and up. But this consolidation on Bitcoin, like we went over with Bitcoin dominance going up, is healthy. It's exactly what you want to see for a continued lag in the market. So even though it's been shaky, things are looking pretty decent here. So let's see what happens next week. But yeah, no problem, Roxy. Like I said, appreciate you guys. I'm going to sign off now. This stream will be recorded, so Cypress will get me that, and I'll get it live for you guys. And enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and let's kill it next week, guys. All right, guys, take care. Have a good Sunday.